everybody, and thank you for joining me once again. I am having a great day today because we are introducing the new app, Yardmaster Plus. So I got a lot of great feedback from the users that were testing out my RTMS app that I had demonstrated a little bit ago, and a lot of that feedback was sort of centered around, the things that were sort of not user-friendly. And, a lot of that was mainly because when I was doing the RTMS app, I was sort of over-engineering it, making it complicated on purpose so that it would match and function just like the real railroad transportation management systems, which in retrospect, they're complicated as is even for like a railroad professional. So like, why would that, make sense for a model railroad person? So anyways, what we've done now is reimagined from the ground up how the app will work. And Yardmaster Plus is a much more user-friendly model railroad operations management app. So this app is going to work best if you have a switching layout, and no matter what the size, small layouts, it would be amazing. This is actually going to be a super awesome tool if you have a like small layout, and then as you get bigger, I think it will just make your life a lot easier. So why is that? So Yardmaster Plus will take your entire railroad and put it on one screen and put it in front of you so that you can see where everything is at any given time. It doesn't track your cars as in like a GPS would know the exact live location. You have to do that yourself, but you know what? So do the big railroads. They have to do that thing too. So this is going to not only enhance your railroad operations, but it's going to be more realistic. So Yardmaster Plus, the three main elements will be your yard management features for keeping your inventory in check, your switchless printing, that is going to be your, what you're giving to your operators to go out and, do the work on the railroad. And then third will be Waybills. And so we're going to cover all of the all the functions in separate videos. This is just a general overview of everything. And then I know I said I was going to do it last time and I didn't do it, but that's because there was a lot of stuff going on with RTMS that just needed to get worked on. And so anyway, I promise the videos will come out. We are going to do these videos like super quick so that we can make sure that everyone can reference them. However, Yardmaster Plus has one other big difference from its predecessor, which is going to be a very robust help section, which will be right here. And it's also going to include in here a like an AI agent that will basically, you can ask any question and it's going to help you, answer your question. And I'm really hoping that that'll be a major plus for new people. I'm going to work on a tutorial in like the next edition, the next like build for this. But as of right now, I think it's in a great place to start. So let's go back to the dashboard real quick. This is the screen that will pop up when you first pull up your Yardmaster Plus app, which is a web app. So it's going to be based in your browser. You'll have a link, save it to your favorites. And once you've subscribed, you will be able to start building your railroad and adding in all of your stuff, which we'll talk about in just a moment. But anyway, this is the dashboard. This is going to show you your railroad as it stands. It's giving you all your stats. We've got industry information. We can see, there's at this furniture factory right here, there's 4 cars to pick up. We got a map of our railroad. You can have a map of your railroad as well. So this is the Arcadia Central, which is our experiment test railroad. Recent activity, this tells you where things recently moved from, to, and all that. And then we have our automation tab here, which is going to be a lot to explain later on, but we'll get into all that. Then you got some quick action, super fast links right there that you could click on if you wanted to. However, Yardmaster Plus, everything is just going to be right here at the top on this big bar across the top of the screen right here. And we're going to go into the first tab next to dashboard, which is Yard View. Yard View, this is going to be like the meat and potatoes of Yardmaster Plus. This is where you're going to be doing a lot of the inventory updates. A lot of the big railroads, the prototype railroads, they're going to call this a pickle. That's the perpetual inventory car location, keeping track of your rail cars every time they move from one track to another track, or at least, once you're done with your switching operations for the day, getting everything updated to where it actually is. So anyway, we're going to go down the list right here. So we've got a total of 6 towns on this railroad. And every town is laid out in its own box. Right here, we got Pine Harbor, which is the starting location, milepost 1, then moving on to Arcadia, Bryson, Ela, North Falls, and then to Cold Harbor, which is the northernmost terminus of the railroad. And as you can see, every town has a series of tracks that are tied to it, which are the tracks where anywhere you're going to plan to store cars, or you may store cars, you're going to want to make that a track. You probably have this already. If you're doing operating sessions, you're going to have names of tracks, whether that's just, yard 1, yard 2, whatever. But we have the same thing right here. So we'll just go ahead and click on a track. I want to click on a track that's got a lot of cars in it, just so we can kind of see what we got going on in here. So we pull up an individual track, and now you can see all your car numbers that are on the track, how they lay out. And, if we have an issue where, maybe one of these cars is not in the right order, we find out that this ACR 45315 down here at the bottom, line number 12, is actually at the top. Well, we can go ahead and just move them like that. And then we now have everything in the right order. We can also go in here and right click on a car. Let's say this empty car right here, which is for the milling company. And then we're going to go ahead and we can apply a waybill. We can apply a waybill from a template. So if you have waybills that you're going to use reoccurringly, you can use this option and save your waybills. Makes life a lot easier down the road. You can view the car movement history, so you can see where the car was at before. We also have an option to move the car offline, and this is the case where if you have to take the car off the layout for any reason and you're putting it on a shelf, or you have to make some repairs to it, you can move the car offline. Anyway, you can also select the cars like so to move them if you would like. And then you can also load multiple cars at the same time. We can try that with these 2 BN hoppers right here. All right, so then we can also move these cars. We can select both of them, and if we want to move them to a new location or a new station, a new town, we can do that as well. I can move them to, let's say, Pine Harbor Yard 1. You can go ahead and choose the placement location, either the top of the track or the bottom of the track, depending on where you put those cars. In this case, they're going to go to the top of the track because that's just how the engine's going to set them in there. So we're going to go ahead and click move. And now the cars are gone. They've been moved to Pine Harbor Yard 1 track. Okay, so let's say that we want to apply a waybill to a car. We can do that. Let's say this particular car right here, this ACR 45315, it's an empty car right now. And we're going to go ahead and apply a waybill to it. And this car is going to have flour, and it is going to go to Arcadia, to the Conrail interchange. And then we can go ahead and just select our destination track if we know it. It's optional. You don't need to do it if you don't want to. And then we're going to go ahead and save the waybill. And now we got our load of flour for Conrail. Moving on to setup now. Setup is sort of the backstage area of Yardmaster Plus for your railroad as well as mine. And what it is where you keep track of, or where you enter all of your qualifying information that's going to help you function in Yardmaster Plus. So all of your rail cars will be entered in right here. We can move on to towns. This is going to be all of your towns, which are basically your freight stations, your terminals, and then your tracks. So you have all of your tracks, and you will tell it what town you tied it to and all that stuff. And then you got your industries, which are all of your places where cars will be loaded or unloaded or will have waybills applied or removed. So it's not just going to be your railroad customers, but also it's going to be locations like maybe a car shop or a freight house, house track, team track, transload, or interchange track. Anything that where you're going to be changing the waybills on the rail car, you're going to want to set up as an industry. Moving on to waybills. Like this is going to be where you can look at your waybills and manage them if you need to. You can edit a waybill at any time. This is the latest car that we just did. Let's say we want to edit this waybill to make it a high priority. We can do that right here by checking that box, and then we can save. That will update the car to a high priority. We can also delete the waybill if we want to. We can also manage our templates in here. So if you've saved a template, you can go back and you can make changes to it as needed. Okay, so we're going to move on to trains now. Basically, how they're going to operate in Yardmaster Plus is that you're going to set up a train as a pending train, like we have right here. We have 4 pending trains. And then you can go in and edit your train, add cars, remove cars. The cars don't actually do anything when you do that. You're adding them to a list. You can get everything straightened out on that list. Cars can come from different tracks in different stations or whatever. But what happens is that once you depart this train, those cars are going to disappear from the tracks in the yard view. They're going to now exist on the train until you set them out or arrive the train at its final destination, in which you're going to arrive it to a specific track, and then those cars are all going to appear in order on that track train. So we have like a train right here. This is a coal train, CL55. It's departed already. And when we go to edit, we can see the details. This is all of the cars on the train right here. This tool is going to work great if, okay, let's say you're storing cars on the main line for whatever reason. They're on a train. That train never made it to its destination in that operating session, so it's just sitting there. Well, you can keep that active train active, and the cars will remain on there. That way you're keeping an accurate location of all of those cars. And so that's a very helpful tool, I think. Okay, so we're moving on to the reports section. Reports is where you're going to make all of your printouts. And there's going to be 4 categories of reports that you can do right now. But the 2 main ones that we're going to talk about are going to be track inventory and work orders. So track inventory, let's say you have a track that you just want to make a quick printout of. You can select it, and then you can print, and it's going to give you a list of that track. Let's just, for a better example, let's go with a track that actually has cars on it. And then there's a printout of that track that you can, give to somebody, say, hey, go pick these cars up. That's a track inventory report. It's just going to print individual tracks out. In work order, this is going to be a little bit more robust version of a track inventory report, where let's say you have a job and that job has like specific things that it needs to do. You can create a work order, and then that work order is going to actually have a section here where you can put in the train information, the crew, and you can provide work instructions right here. These can be step by step, however you want to do it. A story, a paragraph, it's free form. You can write in whatever you want here. You can select the tracks that you want that job to work with, and then you can print this out, and there you have a work order to give to your operators. Okay, so now we're moving on to settings. Settings is a lot more involved than the RTMS was. There's a lot more customization that you can do on this, and there's going to be more in the future. Right now we have a place here in settings where you can set up your railroad name. If you have a division, a specific division, especially if you're working with like a big railroad like Burlington Northern or something. You can put the division that you're operating. Down, you can actually put your railroad logo and your railroad map in there as well. Down below that, we have different themes. So let's just say you want that cool DOS black screen that we had from the RTMS. You can go back and this is how that's going to look, with maybe some little improvements down the road. But yeah, you have that option. You also have a clean white for anyone who, I don't know, wants to use that and they don't like the blue color. They can go with the white version as well. And in the future, I think what we're going to try to do is make the themes a little bit more customizable so that you can have one tailored specifically to your railroad, so that it doesn't look so much like Yardmaster Plus, but it looks more like whatever railroad you are. If you're the Virginia and Ohio and you want to have, a specific look to your computer system, you can hopefully do that in the future. Move operations, so you have a default. This is important if you've got like a yard operation where you're moving lots of cars and you want to make sure that the default is not going to have to be selected or the top of track or bottom is not going to be selected every time. You could choose where you want this to fall. And it's very helpful if you've got a lot of switching operations that go to bottom of track, or a lot of switching operations where cars fall to the top of the track. That way you're not constantly having to, adjust that box. And then you have your track detail and report columns. So what happens here? This is something that's going to be unique for Yardmaster Plus, which is going to be, you can set up your reports and your track detail and yard view to basically fit your operation. Whatever's most important to you, you can have those here. There will be more options in the future, but you can either deselect or select them, and then you can change the order that they appear depending on how you want it. Now, this is going to be important for one big reason. And this is something that I learned, was that car number and initial is, of course, how a lot of railroad operators, layout operations, they're going to go off the car number. But there are some situations where maybe you're operating in like, a small scale, like an N scale or even a Z scale, or even if there's some of you people out there, and I know you are, the T scale is the TT scale, that really, really tiny stuff. I don't know. You're probably not having operating sessions in TT scale. But anyway, the idea is that you'll be able to put down a different descriptor, something like, I don't know, green BN boxcar or black UTLX tanker, or something less specific. But that way you can have your cars sort of like identified, but appear in a way where people will be able to see that. And I think that's something for model train operations that's going to be very important. So we're going to have that ability. Then you got your movement history. This is just how many records do you want to keep? How far back do you want to be able to go? That's going to be 40 records as your max. And then we've got our dashboard boxes. This is everything that can appear on your dashboard. And whenever you make changes, just go ahead and make sure you save settings. Brings us back to the help, which we had kind of touched on a little bit ago, but this is just instructions on how to do stuff. That does not include the tutorial that we will have in the future. But yeah, so this is Yardmaster Plus. This is the new app that it's available now. If you want it, go ahead and follow the link and you can quickly get access to it. Give me 24 hours once you subscribe. And then I can go in and just because I have to do everything manually right now. That in the future, it'll just be, one click and you'll be in. But for right now, when you subscribe, give me 24 hours to give you access. I do check regularly to make sure that I have everyone in. Anyway, if you have questions, please leave them in the comments. I will respond back and help answer any questions you might have. And in the meantime, I hope you enjoyed this video. In the next video, we're going to go into more in depth on what each of these functions, how everything works in an instructional video. That way, I think it'll be a great way for people to kind of just see how everything works. But this was just sort of a quick overview of Yardmaster Plus. And you know what? I appreciate you so much for watching this video, especially if you've made it this far. Thank you for watching. We're going to end this video here, and I will see you guys in the next one.